If you're at a point where you're trying to decide what you're going to do with your career and you're considering medicine, this video is for you. We're going to do 4 reasons why you should consider medicine, but also 4 reasons why you shouldn't. And we'll start with those because if any of those are a yes, then really the whole thing is a non-starter. But once you understand those for and against points, we're going to do a killer question basically that is going to help you decide for sure whether medicine is the right career for you. So let's start with the reasons not. And the first one is any TV or glamour that is serving as your motivation. You will hear people say the first thing that they say when they get into hospital is that it is nothing like what you see on the TV. And if you are doing it for some sort of heroics or that glamour that you see there, the reality is that you're going to be very disappointed. It's very fulfilling. You do really cool stuff. But if you think you're going to be swanning in like Grey's Anatomy or some of these other medical TV shows and being that glam person on screen, think again. The second one is money. But before I move on to that, if you're unsure for whatever reason whether medicine is right for you and want to do a deeper dive, there are 2 things that you can do. In the description, we have a questionnaire that you can do to determine how likely you are to get into medicine. But also we have free resources on the Future Doc website where you can do, is medicine right for me? Is dentistry right for me? And really help you dig deeper into those questions that you need to ask. The second reason not to go into medicine is purely for the money. These are a few reasons, especially in the UK, because it probably doesn't pay as much as you would hope. You hear it a lot in the newspapers of doctors complaining about pay and going on strike all of the time. And even though there have been recent increases, we still feel that probably doctors aren't as remunerated as they should be. And what you'll hear a lot of people who are in medical school and junior doctors say is that their colleagues who went into things like banking and various other city-type jobs are earning way more than they are at a young age. So if money is your pure motivator, then really medicine is probably not the one for you. Because although you do earn quite good money once you get to a consultant level, that does take a good 10 to 15 years to get there. And the money on the way is probably what people complain about the most. So on the screen, I'll put the earnings that people get as junior doctors. So this is what they get on the way to being a senior doctor. And then what you get as a senior doctor, which is a consultant or maybe a GP. However, there is some really interesting old research that was done about money and satisfaction at work. It was done by an American psychologist in the 1950s called Frederick Herzberg. And it said when he studied workers to see what motivates people, he found that money actually doesn't. Pay only works on the dissatisfaction scale. So what it's saying is that if people aren't paid enough, that can be a cause for dissatisfaction, as we've seen with the recent strikes. But pay alone isn't enough to make people happy and motivated in their workplace. The third reason not to go into medicine is if your parents or your family are pressuring you to do it. It is your life, it is your career, and it's a lifetime that you typically spend in medicine. So it really should be something that comes from you, that you have the desires to do it for the right reasons, which we're going to talk about shortly, and not because you're doing it to try and please somebody else, because that will wear off very quickly. And then when you're left with difficult times and trying to understand why you're actually doing this, you'll be left wanting when it's not really coming from you. And finally, medicine is probably not for you if you have low people energy. If you struggle to be around people, to speak to them, to interact with them, it's such a social job, especially in hospital. You're not only talking to patients, but people from all different walks of life, all the different staff members from the cleaners all the way up to the professors. These are all different people with very different ways of interacting. And if you struggle with that and get drained from that, it's going to be a very difficult job for you. So shortly, I'm going to give you that golden question to ask yourself. But before I do, let's first go into the positive reasons that if any of these are yeses, it might be a good signal that medicine is for you. The first, and my personal favorite, is what I would call impact tangibility. In other words, you really can see the impact of what you're doing directly in front of you. Often patients, let's say if you're doing surgery or if you're working in the emergency department, you'll see people who come with a very acute problem, and you can fix that problem for them and see the results unfolding in front of your eyes. If you're doing the more medical specialties or GP, you might see that over a more protracted time frame, but still the kind of feel-good factor of what you're doing and the impact that it's having on people's lives is very in front of you for you to see, and that really helps with the fulfillment that you gain from the job. The second is what I'd call intellectual depth. It is stimulating. The amount that you need to learn for medicine is both wide and deep, and you can never really complete it. You have to be prepared for that because it's one of those things that it takes so long to learn everything there is to know that by the time you've learned it, it's all changed again and you have to update all of that. Obviously, those cycles get easier, but it's a constant learning thing that you really do have to embrace. The next is if you enjoy working in a team and team dynamics. There are a few exceptions in medicine, but almost every single job requires you to work with, like I said, different people from all different walks of life, different members of the team. Your ability to get on with, interact with, work cohesively with will determine how successful you are in your career in medicine. And then the final plus is if you like variety and a breadth of options that are available to you, medicine has a ridiculously large number and growing number of medical specialties. Also, it's not really always common, but if you don't like a particular specialty, people do change. So there are always options. And I always say that kind of each specialty has its own character type that tends to get attracted to it. So it's really easy within medicine to find your group of people that you're most suited to with the job that you're most suited to. So that is really some of the magic that is there in that you can always find something that's right for you. So as promised, the question that I would encourage you to ask yourself if you're wondering whether you're going into medicine for the right reasons is, would this job still appeal to you if you couldn't tell people what you did and it didn't make you rich? And of course, also in this hypothetical world, that means that your parents can't brag about it to other people. Would you still want to do it because of that? The rich bit is because if you're smart and you really are only interested in making a lot of money, medicine is honestly not the best route to do it, especially in the UK. And honestly, the prestige of saying you're a doctor does wear off pretty quickly. And I can guarantee you that most people, after they've qualified for a few years, actually try and avoid telling people that they're a doctor more often than not. So really, the only reason that you should be going into this is because that you believe your career in medicine is going to make enough of an impact on the world to be a satisfying reason to you to make a difference. And look, neither path is right or wrong. It's okay to decide that this isn't the path for you, but equally, if you're going in for the right reasons, it's absolutely fantastic and one of the best decisions I've ever made. If you decide that medicine is for you, the Future Doc channel is dedicated exactly to helping people do the best application that they can to get into some of the most competitive universities. So if you want to find out more, you can check out the free resources on the Future Doc website. Check out the channel for everything that we have for all the things that you need to know to do well. Otherwise, if you want our help, you can check out this video here for exactly what you need to do to submit your best application and maximize your chances. Best of luck with whatever career you decide to go for. I hope this helped and helped you on your way to choosing the right career for you.